Hey orchid people, welcome back to Pilar Orchids. Thanks for checking in. It's late May and yeah, been dealing with a little bit of cold, and cold as in sickness. Pardon the voice. However, today is not a living room walkthrough video, but instead a look at the No ID, our one of our original orchids, the Phalaenopsis, what we call paprika. We'll quickly look at this plant today and repot it. This is an emergency repot. However, just quickly, a few things that I wanted to mention is that the No ID Phalaenopsis is orchid folks refer to as like your grocery store Phalaenopsis, like that you pick up randomly around, not ordered through a vendor, and it will be labeled maybe as a Phalaenopsis orchid or maybe just orchid, but it will not have a label like a true ID on parentage or what hybrid it is. A lot of people go online and they ask, like, what is this orchid? And unfortunately, while people may guess and offer suggestions, a no ID will always be a no ID. So, this is not something you'd want to use for breeding necessarily, unless it was for your own orchid collection. You really wanted to do it, but these are just for enjoyment. They can be had pretty cheaply, and they're very reliable plants and bloomers. We love this plant. It's been with us over 3 years now, and it's been very reliable. It did skip 1 year blooming last year, but then this year it came back, grew 2 spikes early in like the spring, late winter, and then all the buds blasted. So I think if you've seen any of our videos in the past, you've kind of seen the ups and downs in this one, but it's come back strongly now. Now that summer is, about late spring is really happening. Temperatures are up. We've started fertilizing again. And so it grew all these new blooms, and yeah, everything is looking really nice, like a little wall of flowers developing. This guy and this one here just opened yesterday. So that's another thing that I kind of wanted to mention really quickly before we repot it. Another cool thing about a lot of these is that the flowers kind of change color. And so you can see when they first open, they're very dark red. And like when it's just opening, it's very red in there. Like it looks like the lip is purple as that. But then they kind of fade to this golden orange. But this particular plant holds so many leaves. Like I just counted them. There's 20 leaves. And then there's this little dead leaf that needs to come off. But this thing is so top heavy. So that is why the emergency repot. So now quick glance under the hood, so to speak, at the business part. And yeah, it's always been a crawler. So because it's so top heavy and it grows profuse roots, as you can see, like they all branch, and every spring and a couple flushes through the summer, it'll put on new roots and just a vigorous root growth event. And every time it slowly creeps out to where now, in the last month and a half, every watering, it's like I gotta hold it and pull it gently out and kind of hold the pot. And at any moment, especially now that the flowers are on, it's gonna fall out of that pot. So it needs to be redone. And here is the new pot that we've decided to use. That's the best option I think we have for it right now. So yeah, we'll try that. That's going to be kind of new, unglazed ceramic. Yeah, glazed on the outside, but the inside is unglazed. So we'll see how that goes. Bark mix that I had left over, no leca. So just very gently going to repot. Super simple. Hopefully, we'll see. So let me get set up and we'll get right into it. Let's get going. I got the pot up here on the table with the media. Put that out of the way a little. Get the plant up here. Got to be careful with that. All right, so the goal is to disturb the roots as little as possible and save as much of the old media as I can. I'm not gonna clean off anything. I'm just gonna throw it right in. Oh yeah, first though, I need to put down a little layer. There is some leca in here. This media I had used for a little while for some startings of succulent cuttings. And so, yeah, it has been quote unquote used, but not very much. I mean, yeah. Anyway, I am reusing it. Lifting it out. I mean, you can see how tenuous this thing is. It's gonna just pop right out. So I'm gonna gently tease it. Now, yeah, we did put a little tag just to remind us about everything, but you can see the nice, beautiful root growth on this thing. It's great. So I am going to put down a little bit of the old media. I'm reusing it. Generally, I do not reuse media, but in this case, it hasn't been in this pot very long, and yeah, I'm not too concerned about it. Also, not recommended to repot when a plant is in bloom, but in this case, it's an emergency. We had to do it. And that's not my first choice, but you know, it is what it is. In this case, we got to do it. So we're going to go for it. Hopefully we don't lose too many and it continues to put on the blooms it had. All right, so I want to try to get it a bit more upright. I know it's not going to stay that way, but hopefully it'll relax down into itself a little bit there. So let's flip it around. It's going to be hard to see for you because it's hard for me to see, but I'm just going to throw in around the roots. Not doing anything crazy as far as like, you know, really digging it in there. I'm just filling it up, letting it fall down into any spaces. Tease it in a little bit. This side needs more. There was a few roots from those succulents, so I'm trying to take those out, but. And always under the leaves, like I said, that's always the tricky spot. I've got this root wrapped around a leaf, but I'm gonna leave it. But generally speaking, I think I was pretty gentle on the roots, as you can see. Like, I'm not super abusive, but at the same time, I'm not like really gentle with phal roots because they're pretty hardy and they're solid, and even you can see sometimes when they break at the surface, they'll continue to live and grow, at least for a while until it can establish new roots. And this one, this particular plant, like I've mentioned, it grows so many branching roots. We have no problem with that, with root growth. All right, so that's about there. See, like a little bit of a hole. I like very airy plantings with the orchids, just because I think it kind of mimics being mounted, especially with Phalaenopsis. Like it's only held in the pot by the media, essentially, and it provides a little bit of retentiveness for like a very humid environment down around the roots, but it's not retaining moisture, like keeping it sopping wet, right? That's not what you want. You want a lot of air down there, and yeah, all right. Looks pretty good. Much better than it was when we started. I mean, I feel much safer about this plant now, and yeah, the blooms are a little bit more, I guess, showing. As you can see, we don't spike a lot of our orchids, so it just grows this kind of drooping habit. Not recommended to replant or repot when they're in bloom. That's, typically want to be avoided. But if it is an emergency, just do it. And especially with Phalaenopsis, they're fairly hardy with repotting almost any time. And also try not to reuse media. That's one of those do as we say, not as we do things. Generally, I do not reuse media, but again, in this case, this stuff was very fresh. So yeah, and I mean, again, the stuff it was in wasn't that old either, so that's why I didn't really feel too bad about throwing in some of the old media as well. Thanks for checking in, and hope we give you some, confidence to repot your phals if you see a problem and not worry about it. And please, if you have any questions or comments, subscribe, hit that like button, and yeah, comment anything that you may agree or disagree or maybe took away from this video. And thanks, guys. We will see you back here at El Pilar soon. Have a good one.